darlings, and welcome to Savvy with Samke, a 4-part series powered by ProfMed, a medical aid for professionals. I'm Samke Mhlongo, your host, and in case you don't know me, I am an international speaker, award-winning wealth coach, best-selling author, but today, just a girl wanting to know more about how she can improve her entrepreneurial journey. I'm not alone because I'm joined by my good friend, Charmaine Shaz Dube.
Thank you so much, Sam. Hey guys, I'm Shaz. I'm a digital entrepreneur, tech broadcaster, as well as a conversation starter. And today's episode, we're talking everything entrepreneurs. So the hustle, financial well-being, mental well-being, maybe missing a few debit orders, and all of that good stuff. Sam?
Missing debit orders, that is definitely not me. I know, let me not lie, I know I have missed a couple of debit orders on my entrepreneurial journey. I too have played May the best debit order win. And I'm just looking at myself thinking, okay, girl, you've been in this game for a long time now. There are certain things that need to be in place, certain measures that need to be in place to ensure that even though you are following your passion, even though you are gambling on yourself, you're not gambling with your well-being.
Yeah, and Sam, I'm just starting out on this journey, and I don't know if you, Savvy Squad, are starting out on an entrepreneurial journey yourself, but we have an amazing guest here today who's going to shed more light on this entrepreneurial journey and navigating our way through it.
He is a seasoned entrepreneur. He knows all about the good, the bad, the highs, the lows, and really what we need to have in place to formalize our entrepreneurial journey, whether or not we work in the formal sector.
Yes, so sit at home, grab your notebooks, and let's get going.
Grab a glass of wine. You're still being savvy with Samke, and I don't often get excited, but with this episode, I am jumping out of my chair because we are speaking with someone I've known for over a decade and had the privilege of watching go from a young entrepreneur to a formidable force with a network of entrepreneurs of over 7,000 businessmen and women. He knows all about the ups, the downs, the glory, the lonely times, the wins, the losses, and everything in between that comes with running your own business. Ladies and gentlemen, I would not do him justice if I introduced him myself. So I'm going to let the man himself, the larger than life, the Mr. Get Things Done, Bulelani Balabala, tell us a little bit about his journey. Big B!
Welcome to the show.
Savvy with Samke.
What a great intro, actually. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, man, Bulelani Balabala is the name. I'm the founder of an initiative called Township Entrepreneurs Alliance. We've been running now for the past 8 years. However, my entrepreneurial journey started 18 years ago. So I ran a company called IAF Brands. Primarily for a number of years, we did branding manufacturing. So we sold that in 2022. And then I'm now doing things that I love doing, which is the township development work, research, insights, and focusing primarily on the township economy. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I didn't match the energy, but yeah.
No, I mean, you're a busy man. Like we had to fit in your very busy schedule. But
They were like, Miss Big B's in the house. We gotta make quick.
Yes. And listen, I know that what you're passionate about, which is township entrepreneurs, especially, and that economy. Listen, Shaz, give him 5 minutes.
No, I want to
He'll
know.
be here.
I want to know how to join this network, but we'll get there.
Yes.
We'll get there because I'm a professional. I can help some people out.
Yes.
Big B, it's okay if I call you that, right? Yeah, what inspired you to get into the entrepreneurial space?
I wanted to get opportunities that would allow me to be able to feed my family. That was it.
Right.
There was no
So
smarts,
simple.
there was no trying to, but obviously over the years we sort of then have iterated, and developed and evolved into, passions have changed. Now we do it for impact. So we've been able to cross over the bridge of sort of sustenance. And I think, it doesn't matter what the reason is. It's important to get to the understanding what the why is. Because you see, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a professional, at the core, it's the why that gets the person over the tough lines of fatigue, burnout, stress, difficulties, and failure. Yeah.
I love that you touched on the why, because particularly in South Africa, with the climate that we have, do you find that the entrepreneurs in your network turn to entrepreneurship out of necessity or out of choice? And what is the differences that we can see in those type of people?
I mean, you know what? 60% of small businesses that start out, you know, they start out primarily as subsistence entrepreneurs. You know, they start to feed a certain need. And I think that could be assimilated as hustling, you know, because I always say that if your focus is to hustle, it's great as an initiate start, but it's never a good idea to consistently hustle, because hustling means you don't build systems and process.
No ends.
Means that, you know, actually there are definitely no ends, and every day you're trying to meet them. You know, so it's a frustrating piece to sort of find yourself in. But what you then find is that you find the individuals who are willing to say, listen, I want to actually grow, but the only way to growth is I've understood that, you know, the three critical things, the components to entrepreneurship: the management, the technical, and the entrepreneurial aspect. That you know, if you were inspired by the fact that you were good in a particular discipline or skill to start a business, that's only going to account for 1% of what you're going to do every day. Because you're going to need to be an accountant, you're going to need to be a cleaner, you're going to need to be a service consultant, you need to be a fulfillment expert, a driver, and all that stuff. So it's important for you to be able to understand what is being a manager, how much time does it take in your day, what is being a technical operator within your business, and then what is being an entrepreneur, which is what inspires us to go in, so that you are always able to then break out your days into whatever percentages, whether it's 70% technical, 20% managerial, and 10% entrepreneurial. It's important for you to consistently have your hand on the pulse of that, because that then will then be able to hold the why structurally accountable on a day-to-day basis.
Shaz, you know, I'm just sitting here in awe. You know why? Because we tend to think that township entrepreneurship or township entrepreneurs don't have systems, technical, 70%, statistics, professional, account. What? And when he was like, you know, when you've crossed over from sustenance to making impact, you know that's a man that's made money, child.
Oh,
absolutely. You know that's a man that's made money.
He speaks in wealth.
He's like, you know, I've fed my family, now I'm making impact, right? And perhaps we can talk about some of the misconceptions that exist in society with regards to how sophisticated the informal sector really is.
And it's quite interesting because, I mean, you'd note that a couple of years ago, there was a big call to say small businesses or township businesses, or they're in the informal and unseen economy must formalize. But they're the most formal economy. But what we have not taken into account is the understanding that everything needs to start from a point of understanding. And what that simply means is, maybe what we then need to do as larger organizations or financial institutions is create or work with agencies that act as a bridge for us to build processes or even tools that are able to meet these individuals at a level of their understanding. I mean, I'll make you an example in case in point. I mean, there's one entrepreneur that we work with, you know, he sells glass sheeting out of a zinc structure, I won't say container. But it's quite a big structure. I mean, that's probably about 240 square meters zinc structure. Wow. No advertising, no paving, no concrete flooring. I mean, it's gravel, right? But they make about 80,000 Rand a day.
What?
On a bad day. They operate Monday to Sunday.
Hey?
You know, in the township. You know? And then and there's quite a number of those, right? But I mean, before we talk to these ones that are, you know, importing in these glass sheeting. I mean, look at Abu Mama who are selling food on the side of the road, right? They get to the deep at 4 a.m. There's a system. You know, you need to be able to sell. There's a flair. Which is why if you don't cut it, you need to then move out. They can't work with you. You know, there's a system in how and when they call up Jabu's gonna come with the van, pick them up, and they get there and they're able to meet all of their household needs and then have savings that would act as a future proof in the event that any unforeseen eventualities sort of come. So the disposition or the misconception is that when you look at them, you then feel sympathy for them, but they're in a way better position financially even so to actually assist you looking good and looking better. So when I started my entrepreneurial journey, my dream was to have a corner office in Rosebank or in Sandton. Then I realized that in actual fact, you know, the township and the community that I grew up from, that's where a bulk of this revenue is housed from. Yes. That's where the workforce of the country actually is. When I think of accessing skills, you know, we've often looked at accessing skills as I need to go to institution X, Y, and Z and mentors. I need to find successful business mentors. But we overlook the fact that just down the road, there's a lady who's been working at a brand X, Y, and Z or FMCG factory for the past 40 years.
Yes.
She knows the ins and outs, and I'm trying to develop and build this. So what we then do is that we don't internalize learning. I could just walk down and she'd be able to give me all the tools and components I need to grow this very thing. So that's where the fragmentation then comes in, even from the ones who live within. They live within, they've got all the resources and knowledge, but still want to go outside, you know, to get resources and knowledge. And the ones outside get them from the ones who are in there.
Oh,
I told you 5 minutes.
that ecosystem, and I love how you've explained that, and it just makes me think of, you know, how we, you know, with the world and the way that it's moving and changing, we're starting to glamorize, for lack of a better word, entrepreneurship. What do you think are some of the misconceptions of entrepreneurship or things that people take for granted? I started my journey 6 months ago. Had you told me some of the things I'm experiencing now, we'd be in a different conversation. So in your network, what are the things that you see that people have not maybe taken into account, whether it's finances, medical aid, that type of situation?
I think that's the first one, right? The financial part, right? Because sometimes you sort of go in with beautiful forecasting, right?
Yes.
With a beautiful business plan, and it doesn't work out like that, right? And sometimes you would have worked out that you've got, you know, good savings to carry you through, and you run through all of those savings, you know. And I think for me, it's important for the entrepreneur to be able to really analyze and understand whatever your worst day would be, and sort of then tell yourself that there is gonna come. Because I think that way, then you sort of then, you know, start to brace yourself each and every day that you operate, but you don't operate in the bubble of the opportunities are gonna come. You operate in the bubble of, I might not make it through this day or even this year. So how do I then future-proof, you know, my opportunities to then get to the next mile? But you're gonna get months where you can't pay. It's not gonna be 1 month, it's gonna be a couple of months where you can't pay your employees the salaries that you need. Because the complexities in and around there is that you know the type of skills that you need, but you can't afford them. So you're constantly caught up in the, you know, the quagmire of being the one who's technically operating, and then you're failing your clients. The opportunities don't match the growth that you're sort of looking for. And I think that's the biggest challenge. However, the beautiful thing with all of those challenges is they are meant to build resilience.
Yes.
You know, so whenever we work on entrepreneurial programs, I say, don't dumb it down or make it easy, because at the end of the day, we still want the tough ones.
Yes.
So because the tough ones are the ones that actually grow the economy. They're the ones who are able to actually make it at the end of the day. And, you know, in a heavily competitive environment and global markets that we sort of find ourselves playing in to a certain degree, it's important that you are able to compete on a global scale. So whenever I say to people, our focus is township, I'm not saying that our focus is to work with the lesser, or our focus is to make it easier. No. I say our focus is to make it tougher so that they're able to compete not just in South Africa, but globally. So township by location and geographic setting, but global in service, global in delivery, global in productization.
Global, when I share.
Getting there. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Isn't that the goal?
It's the goal, and I think what's touched me, what's sitting with me is, you know, we're not making it easier. We want them tougher in order to compete. And what's going through my mind is, how do you deal with the issue of burnout? We are seeing people younger and younger falling over dead because of an aneurysm or a heart attack or stroke, because we're living in this high pressure environment and we are being called to be high performance individuals. So it's like a double-edged sword.
It's a beautiful question, I think also because it meets me when I'm at a totally different place in my life, right? For many years, you know, I grew up, number one, before the many years, I grew up in a place that said, to see that a man is healthy and to see that a man has done well, he has to have a pot belly. You know?
Success curve.
Yeah, it's a success curve, right?
Yes.
So the bigger the size, 3XL, 4XL, 7XL,
The healthier,
that's a
the
good
more
man.
wealth.
That's a good man, right? Then when I jumped into entrepreneurship, you know, I've told and I've also been told, you know, work the hours, work the 18 or the 30 or the 40 hours, right? But it's good when you start because you have to put in the time, but it's not sustainable for the long term. So what that then meant is that even in my mindset, I looked down upon anything that took me away from doing the work. So if it was spending time with family, if it was working out, if it was exercising, if it was eating healthy, that those were tedious exercises to the point where even eating was a waste of time. So when I sit down and I talk to my dietitian, she says the challenge with you and your physical structure is the fact that your body holds on to the fat with that one meal that you eat because you're eating wrong food, you don't exercise, you know, and you sort of then, you know, I love how you encapsulate it in and around the heart conditions. I mean, I've seen peers younger than me, the same age as me, 2-5 year difference, falling, no issues but falling. I had to then take on a very selfish stance to then say that I can't do the 16 hours any longer. You know, I need to work out. You know, I need to exercise. And, you know, the ripple effect of that, well, the motivation for me to actually go on my health journey, right, was never the health. You know, so my doctor was smart enough to say, because you love podcasting and learning new things, utilize that 30 minutes as an opportunity to learn new skills and listen to podcasting. So I then would take these walks and not jogs then, so that for 30 minutes to an hour to listen to podcasts and new information.
Okay.
But the indirect effect, which now has become an amazing benefit for me, is that I've been able to shed quite a bit of weight since I started in December. The second thing is I've been able to actually earn back my energy and my time. It got to a point where, you know, a couple of months, about 7 months ago, I was sitting with the doctor who was telling me, you know, we might even need to cut your gut open because of the gastric issue, you know, acid reflux within your stomach. So he said you've got two options. It's either you shed the weight and preserve your life, or I cut you open and you live a life of, you know, a life of being cut open and soon together. So I had to make the decision, and I think the decision for me was a healthier life, because the healthier life is more beneficial. So I'm able to actually even give my two amazing sons more time, better effort, and be physically present, whereas I was totally burnt out before. So I definitely say to entrepreneurs, burnout is a real thing. But one of the best ways to sort of manage your burnout is work out and exercise. Take time away where you've got your quiet moments and your quiet time. But in the working out and the exercising, then we can also utilize that as an amazing opportunity where we're working out on the go, but we're actually ingesting the right type of information. And you become selfish on that time. It's not time for you to work out and be on email. You selfishly plug away from everything so that when you come back totally refreshed.
And Shaz, you've got a journey and a health journey with regards to weight loss.
That's why I was doing this when he said he lost weight, because I was like, yes. I myself had a bariatric procedure in August of last year, so I'm 6 months in. I've lost 25 kgs. So I look like a completely different person right now. And I'm halfway in, and I, again, like you, realized that I have knee pains, I have back pains, and I used to get medication for my back pain, and my doctor was like, there's not any amount of medication that I can give you that is going to solve your problem. You're carrying too much weight for your height. You need to let it go, otherwise you're consistently going to have knee problems and back problems. And thus I took the same journey. I now revel in daily checkups, walking. I got myself a dog so that he can force me out the house. I was quarter to diabetes, no longer there. And I think we overlook that as entrepreneurs because we're so busy on the hustle, on the rise, that we don't realize we're chasing this hamster wheel of nothingness. But at the same breath, Bulelani, coming into entrepreneurship is also a financial decision, and very easily someone can say, you know what, medical aid is costing me 2,000 rand. I need to drop it off so that I can have more access to funds. What would you say to someone who's juggling those two, rock in a hard place?
Because entrepreneurs usually put themselves last.
No, they do. You know, they are glass balls, right? And they are hard balls. Medical aid, life cover balls you don't drop.
Oh, they're glass balls and they're what?
When it drops and falls, it breaks.
Oh.
You know, and then it inconveniences you. So the medical aid inconveniences you and your family. You know, the life cover inconveniences your family. So it messes up your whole legacy that you were trying to build because you're not smart enough with the money. If I hold off as an entrepreneur who's going through a difficult time and I don't pay my vehicle installments, I can go negotiate with the insurer for the vehicle installment and for the asset finance.
Yes.
But I can't on this side because I can't take that chance. You know, it's very, very important that we don't gamble with that stuff. You know, and then we have the consistent conversation and argument with the entrepreneurs, but where am I going to get the money from? Maybe reduce the entertainment budget. Maybe there are things, maybe there are costs where you can go back to other service providers and optimize. Yes, they insured you and they've just increased that particular premium, but you can go back and say, well, my earning capacity is 1 to 3.
So let me
are you guys,
go down.
I don't want to lose this, but are you guys able to go down without me losing my comprehensive cover? It's super essential. I mean, I'll tell you something. You know, my mother this year turned 70. So she started going to the gym about 3 years ago. Before then, she was diagnosed with heart conditions, diabetes, and whatsoever the case. She was on medication every single day. So about 2 years ago, she started going to the gym. And she says, you know, I've been taking medication for the past 5 years for all of these conditions. Had I known when I was a young girl that running or walking would have prevented all of this, I would have done it. She goes to the gym Monday to Friday. So those are the things and the notes that I look at and I think to myself, yes, we are chasing the financial wealth, but in actual fact, investing in you is chasing the financial wealth, because I'll be able to outwork anyone who doesn't physically perform well any day if I'm in my right mind, in the right capacity. I'm able to take on any opportunities and be fresh enough to innovate and come up with the best and greatest ideas.
Oh, love that for your mom. I really, really do. And growing up in African households, we're really not shown the right ways to take care of ourselves. I love how you spoke about, as entrepreneurs, we have to sort of gauge our finances and go back and speak to our providers. In speaking to our providers, do you think that they could meet us halfway? I think entrepreneurs are so overlooked, but they're one of the fastest growing economies in this country and worldwide. We've got digital nomads, people who are not even working for South African companies. Do you think, or do you have any ideas or solutions that you could, you know, help other providers out there be like, hey, give us a plan for entrepreneurs. What does that look like? How can we help inform that type of decision? Maybe I get a lump sum off of 1 gig and I get 100K. I need to make that 100K last. If I can spread it over 6 months and maybe pay my medical aid over 6 months, can I do that? So what some of ideas, I don't know if you have any, if you could share with us.
I'll tell you. So as a standard principle and policy in the company, especially with the ladies in accounts in my company, every 6 months we optimize. So what that means is we look at our main accounts. Our main accounts is everyone we've got retainers with, right? That every service provider we have to pay every single month. Then we sort of look at, are we able to go back and engage them on reducing the cost, or even going back and looking at their product catalog? Is there a better, cheaper product that they've now innovated? Right? Because then what we then do is that we don't make it the service provider's responsibility to come back to us and upsell us or downsell us on a particular product.
Yeah, they don't know.
We make it our responsibility so that we are always ahead of the market. But if we are able to save a rand, that's a good thing for us in the long term. And we're able to then weather up any storm. So that's my biggest suggestion to the entrepreneur. Optimize your cost. But, you know, that also then goes without saying that, you know, it's a mental science, it's a psyche thing that we need to break away from. That, you know, when you're in debt or you owe people or you can't afford, you ignore. You should not ignore. The worst thing to do is to ignore. Engage that person, even if it means engaging them to the point where they say, okay, don't call anymore. That's the best stance and position, because, and what that then does is that it puts you in a position where it's leverage. That when the situation gets to a dire point where now you are put before the magistrate or whatsoever, you are able to bring that in and say, I've been communicating consistently and effectively. I can't afford this, but I also can't afford to be put in a bad judgment situation, because it's going to affect me in the long run. So those are some of the things that we don't take into consideration, but it's important. And I think from a financial perspective, you know, as an individual, professional and entrepreneur, it's important for us to play the long game. You know, the consistent, habitual spaces that we find ourselves in where we are spending more than we can earn, it can't be a norm. You know, so if I need to downsize a vehicle and utilize it for them as a mode of transportation to get to point A to point B, and I don't struggle when I need to go out with my sons, that's a better position to be in than the other position where I'm trying to be seen and I'm trying to be comfortable. And up until I've gotten to that financial strength, it is not a necessity at all.
I wish more people could take that stance of being able to be pragmatic and practical around, if I downsize my car, in order to meet my obligations, I'd rather do that, because you don't want anyone to be like, yeah, what were you doing becoming an entrepreneur? You should have stayed on your job, or you thought you're better, stuff like that.
Yes.
And even looking at the case of your mom saying, if I'd known then what I know now, I would have started walking earlier, I would have started exercising earlier. And a lot of people don't actually know that if you join medical aid late, over the age of 38, you are going to be incurring a late joiner penalty, which affects you for the rest of your life. So as you said, there are glass balls and there are hard balls. Like, don't play with that. And that's a lesson I'm taking, to be like, Samke, go check every 6 months that you've optimized not only the business, but your life.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Absolutely.
Those are not balls you break at all. But I think for me, it's, it still goes back to how we sort of view investing in ourselves. It's so easy for us to invest in other things that put us in a position where other people can see that we've invested in things, but those things are frivolous. So we hardly take in the time, of whether it's solitude or whatsoever the case, to invest in us. So breaking out of that mental psyche is very, very important. So I think for me, it's so important, to the point where instead of being seen in my family as the breadwinner, as the amazing man, I need to see me as that individual. So it's the concept of paying yourself first. And I think as individuals who grow up in household where there might be black tax and you're responsible for a lot of things, creating boundaries becomes a tough thing, because it's interpreted as she doesn't want us, or he doesn't want us anymore. He thinks that he's better than us. But now that's very important, so that when you are able to create those boundaries, it doesn't matter what they think. Their family, they will always come around. But there will always be you with that one psyche, and you need to protect it with all that you can. And the moment you prioritize you, the opportunities come, the money does grow, your asset value does grow, your asset base does grow, and you'll be able to do more and be a better version of yourself for those individuals.
I mean, the psyche and the mindset of the entrepreneur, as well as their mental well-being, is a whole nother episode we could have with you. But we are fast running out of time, and I am going to let Shaz ask just one more question before we let you go.
Thanks, Sam. Big B, you've left me absolutely speechless. And I'm one of the people who were told that talks too much on my report card. But, some advice for some of our viewers and some of our savvy squad at home. What's some tips that you can give us, whether it's me who's entering into the entrepreneurial space, I'm 6 months in, still got a lot to learn, whether it's someone who's in corporate coming in and maybe considering, whether it's a graduate who's like, I've got my degree, don't want to do 9 to 5. What are some 5 tips that you can give those people?
I think for me, the first is selling is not for select individuals. Selling is what every entrepreneur needs to do. Because sales is the lifeline of every business, so you need to sell. So you need to learn how to sell your product and sell it each and every day. So move away from the mindset that says, but I want to be too much in people's faces. Well, it's not a bad thing. Because if you're if you're always in people's faces, then you're top of mind. If you're top of mind, they'll use you, and if you irritate them, they'll block you. But you keep it moving. But you don't stop selling, because you need to consistently sell. The second thing for me is, it's important for you to then understand the critical thing. Not everyone is your customer. And you hear this from a lot of entrepreneurs. I sell these juices, these juices are for everyone, because people love juices. Some people don't want your juices.
Yes.
So it's important for you to be able to segment that market, be very clear about who you want to actually sell to, so do the groundwork. And then the third thing that you need to do is, when you've kicked off and when you've actually started, take time and go search and look up something called the business model canvas. It's a one-pager sheet. You can print it out as A4 or A3. It's gonna change your entrepreneurial journey at the end of that. It's the alternate to a business plan. It's gonna take you 2 or 3 hours, but once you're done, you've got an amazing blueprint to your business. And the fourth thing for me, which is the second last, is sometimes we overthink our start. Start with what you have. As long as whatever you've started and put out into the market is not illegal, doesn't have adverse health benefits, and you can deliver on it, start. It sort of perfects itself along the way. I mean, look at some of these global products that are celebrated today that didn't start looking like what they started looking like today. We over-exaggerate how we should start and how we should put yourself out there in the market. Put yourself on the market and then iterate and develop as you move along. And I think the last thing for me is, get things done. Talk is cheap, numbers don't lie. The people, sometimes we look at people who are on different platforms and we're saying sit there at home or in different places and we think, I'm better. But the question is, did you show up? It's not about them being better, it's the fact that they were able to show up. And the one who shows up is the one who wins the pie. It's never the better one at the end of the day. Because the one who gets in because they wanted the opportunity and took a chance gets better along the way.
Mr. Get Things Done has spoken. Sam?
I've got absolutely nothing
so much,
to add except to say thank you
love
so much for taking time out. And from now on, as courtesy of Savvy with Samke, you're now Big B.
I love that, actually.
Stay tuned, because after this, we are coming back with Samke's 5 Savvy solutions. We've been in conversation with Bulelani Big B Balabala, and he gave us so many nuggets with regards to looking after oneself as an entrepreneur. And these are my 5 savvy solutions for your entrepreneurial journey. Number 1, please, it goes without saying, prioritize your health. Ensure that you put your medical aid cover at the top of your priority list. Whether or not you're having a lean month or a bumper month, make sure that you're not dropping that glass ball. Number 2, be consistently covered. Make sure that you are not going to incur late joiner penalties because you had a long period where you were uninsured. And number 3, evaluate your options. Make sure that you understand your benefits and the level of cover you have. And remember, it's better for you to have downgraded your plan as opposed to canceling your medical aid cover completely. Number 4, take care of your well-being. We heard how he exercises, works out, has a dietitian, and that is so important because it helps him to show up better and to run longer as an entrepreneur. So make sure that you are looking after your well-being as well as using the programs and benefits available from your medical aid, such as ProfMed's well-being offering that supports your mental health journey. Last but not least, please plan for those unexpected medical expenses. We all know that there are times where there's a lot of money in the kitty. There are times where there isn't even enough to pay your salaries, but make sure that you are topping up your medical savings wallet. And ProfMed actually offers a PPS wallet, which is a savings facility that allows you to save at your very own pace. Now, Shaz, I know that was a mouthful, but Big B left us with a mouthful.
Yes, Mr. Get Things Done got things done. And thank you, Sam, for sharing those very helpful tips. Thank you to our guest, Bulelani, for sharing his entrepreneurial journey with us. And to you, Savvy Squad at home, thank you for tuning in.
And remember, as always, before we go, you want to check out ProfMed, which is a medical aid that knows the specific unique needs of professionals and experienced entrepreneurs. Be sure to visit www.profmed.co.za.